Hello, my name is Brian Quan. I'm joining you from Canada, and I serve at the Toronto Chinese Mennonite Church. Welcome to episode 4. This is the last lesson in this unit titled The Momentum of Choices. What a great title. I love this idea of momentum. Freedom gives us choices, and our choices carry certain momentum. They affect our future in big and small ways. So this is a very practical lesson about seeking God's wisdom in your choices that bring life and blessing instead of death and curse. So from the moment that we wake up, we have choices to make. Life is an endless series of choices. And each day there are literally thousands of choices that we make. And as students, they may feel that their choices each day carry less momentum. The majority of their choices may not have that philosophical weight, but as they mature, as they have more life experience, they have heavier choices to make, and they will carry more momentum, ones that bring life and blessing. So to prime their thinking, another way to start the lesson is with a fun game. And it's the game that asks the question, would you rather blank or would you rather blank? Would you rather say everything that's on your mind or never speak again? Would you rather be the most popular person at school or to be the smartest? So for more scenarios, you can just Google the search, would you rather questions. So this is a fun way to prime their thinking, to think about the benefits, the blessings, and the curses of their choice. In the Connect section, I really appreciate the comments on page 23, reminding us that moral and spiritual choices are often not clear-cut. They're not clear and dry, and the choice between life and curses is not always so simple. We wish these choices were more black and white, but life is not like that. So if you look at the passage in verse 19, there is an urgency in God's instruction. So unless you work in healthcare or emergency response or you're escaping war or conflict, we don't usually encounter these kinds of life and death choices. It's important to look at the Discover section on page 22 to 23 and remind students about the historical context of the passage. So in the time of Moses, fear and death were kind of surrounding them daily. They were defenseless nomads living in the open desert. So they were in danger of the elements, shortage of water and shortage of shade. And enemies had surrounded them on all sides, and they didn't have the safety of a city. So that is a very different world than where most of us live. Here in the West, we live in a reasonably safe place. However, if some of your students have recently come from places of war or conflict, you might want to ask them to share about their journey. What key decisions did their family have to make? And how did those decisions carry momentum to put them where they are now? Or perhaps you can ask them to share stories of their parents or their grandparents who had experienced this kind of journey. Think about the life and death decisions the family and the grandparents had to make so that they can enjoy the blessings of our freedom. Or perhaps you can find testimonial videos about those who have escaped from conflict zones. So it's not easy to discern which decisions lead to life and prosperity, but it would be helpful to remind the students that even when they make wise decisions with the small things, it can have long-lasting blessings. So in closing, I want to share some quotes. You can use them, you can display them, and see if they stir future or additional discussion. Sometimes the smallest decision can change your life forever. Carrie Russell. Sow a thought, reap an act. Sow an act, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Samuel Smiles. Remember, the choices that we make today shape the people who we become tomorrow. Victoria Olstein. 80% of all the choices that we make are based on fear. Most people don't choose what they want. They choose what they think is safe. Phil McGraw. Too often in life, something happens and we blame the other people for not being happy or satisfied or fulfilled. We all have choices, and we make the choices to accept people or situations or not to accept situations. Tom Radley. Well, those are my insights, and again, I hope you find them helpful for your lesson planning. Have a great lesson with your students.